the magic of you, the magic of me, the magic of we. Fantastic day, as it always is. And I am inspired with these words that I am sharing. And I can't believe it's already halfway through the week. It's Wednesday already. However, I can. It's been a great week. I have enjoyed every day. And today I was called upon to be the auntie to offer a word. And as I was in that role, it brought me back to when I was in middle school. And we know how middle school and puberty and just changing from 12 to 13, 14, 15, 16, it's a time of complete change. And that can be difficult in any generation. The comparisons of how it may be easier because of social media or more difficult because of social media, I'll allow that to stand where it may. However, I do know that just going through these periods of life can be uncomfortable. Thank you for the like. And it is useful when you have someone who, number one, just listens. Not listens to help, but just listens. Because that's magical in itself, to have someone to just listen to your voice. So you can release what you want to say, release any discomfort without hesitation. Without someone doubting you or telling you, good to see you again, St. Anthony. Just to listen, how helpful it is just to listen. And as I speak to friends and family, I will often say, okay, would you like me just to listen? Is that the intention? Or would you care for me to listen and offer feedback or aid in some way? I find that helpful. Because sometimes just listening or just talking, getting that out is the most important thing. So for me to say, hey, how can I best serve you? By best serving you, is that just an ear to listen for you to vent? Yes. Okay, excellent. I clear my mind and I'm completely present. And to do that takes work. To not think of something as someone is speaking to you, to not think of the response you're formulating, to not think of essentially how you could, whatever response that you would give, don't think about it. Just listen. And during this time, as I was listening, I have to remind myself of that. Because I've already passed through this puberty mode. However, at 13, it can be difficult when we encounter people who maybe see our light shining bright. And maybe they want, thank you, Black Rob, maybe they see our light. And they want some of it. Or maybe they see our light and they say, wow, I wish I could shine that bright. And I do believe we all shine in our different ways. However, going through school, especially secondary school, is when we have been encountered with these moments. And so as I was speaking with my niece and she was venting about the things that she's learning, she said, I just don't like this experience. I said, okay, well, what don't you like about the experience? What about the experience don't you like? Let's be more specific. She said, I don't like the building, entering the school building. I said, I understand that, sure. Maybe you're picking up on something in the building. I don't like the people. I understand that. I don't like when I'm mistreated or teased. Completely understand that. So now we have these distinct reasons of why this experience isn't enjoyed. And I was reminded of my experience. Now, I use school just like I'm using TikTok now for entertainment purposes. I was often school was not difficult for me, and in fact, it was quite easy. However, it was all about the social element. It was all about talking and meeting people and having friends and building bonds with people. Because I always knew my success always lied within me. It was never something that was given to me by a school or by a certificate or by a professor or by a teacher. I have that already. What I have in my head, what we all have between the 6 inches between both of our ears, is what gives us what we are. Now, the school may aid or add to it, but we already have this brain power. And I knew that. So I'd rather talk all the time. And I would often have the teachers say, listen, to my parents, Hope is a great student and she's doing great, but she talks a lot. And I would think, so? What's the problem? And I also knew that because of my gift of gab and my ambition and my drive, that was going to get me what I wanted in life. Not you, Mr. Tweedledum, or you, Mrs. Tweedledee. However, I always love an educator. Educators are quite special. So, throughout the course of my educational journey, I valued the fact that it was always within me. If I chose to excel, it would be because of me. If I didn't excel, it was also because of me. But it wasn't the materials or the staff or just the experience. I already have always loved to learn. And I know how I learn best. And everything in life is learnable. Everything in life is learned. So in that regard, since I know everything is learned, I like to learn. And I know how I best learn. There's nothing that I can't learn. And I carried that with me, especially in high school. We would ditch class and have parties or just go eat somewhere. It was just like, this is fun. And I can easily acquire knowledge. So yeah, now we can do that some other time. Because I always knew it was within me. I never left the responsibility of my success to be contingent on the diploma, the certificate, or anything that was given to me within the four walls of the school. And because of that, when I was not successful in school, it did not create a barrier for me for my continued success in life. So when I did not receive the grade that was the highest, I did not immediately tell myself, because of this, you can never do whatever you dream of in life. Yeah, see, I love reading. Reading is fundamental for myself, and I understand. Reading is peaceful for me, and it's something that I've loved to do. My mom would take us, me and my sisters, to the library once a week, especially during summers, and I loved it. And she would always say, Hope, you can only get 7 books, and I would bring like 18, and she would say, okay, so you got to pick 7, and I wouldn't put up a fight, but I would like get 10. I would always push the envelope. However, I know I learn best by doing. By actually getting my hands dirty, by actually practicing the skill. Especially with languages. I know how quickly I can pick up a language when I'm fully immersed. Now, given a book, it won't adhere to me as deeply as it would if I'm surrounded by the people speaking that language. So I'm hearing it and I have to repeat it. And that's through trial and error. But still, that's because it was me. It was me. And through all of this, school is when we first encompass these social situations. So these social situations where we may be teased or ostracized or pointed at for something. And for myself, it was often, listen to how you talk. You talk so proper. Why do you talk like that? That was always what was told to me in school. And my immediate response was, you told me that yesterday. Why are you telling me that today? You see, what the kids at school did not know was I already had 2 sisters that they weren't really bullies. We had a great time growing up. However, that's where all of my training for these social gatherings happened. I don't know, Tavago. I don't know. So by the time I got to school and they wanted to try to tease me, it wasn't going to work. I wasn't going to stand there and listen. It really didn't affect me. And I loved my knowledge. I loved the way I spoke. Do you? I loved that I was a smarty pants. So for you to bring out something that I love as a negative, it didn't affect me. Because I liked it and I liked me. So thank you. So whatever you selected about me, especially if I loved that characteristic, it wouldn't go far. I like me. I like the way I talk. You say you don't like the way I talk. Why would I listen to you? You're dumb. Get out of here. And that was my immediate response. And it stopped pretty quickly. However, that's not always the case for everyone. And I'm very thankful for my siblings in that, in that sense, because they helped me with that. Again, I knew this voice was something I loved. So the fact that I was teased for it or said, you talk so proper, you talk like this, why do you talk like that? I don't know. Why are you standing here telling me how I talk? Why would you stop your day to tell me how I talk? Don't you know that I know how I talk? I'm the one talking. Really, this is what I would say at like 12. I was well on my way. So because again, I liked me and I liked the characteristic, thank you for liking the live, it didn't mean anything. Thank you. Thank you. And I knew I was. So that means you're not. And I always had this mouth as a kid, even as a kid. The teasing thing, when I'm speaking to especially my nieces and nephews, I have to listen because it didn't really permeate me. Because they only teased me about things that I liked about myself. So I only identified with liking that characteristic. So if you don't like it, that actually doesn't mean anything. I like it. Don't you need to go to your locker and go on to your next class? Or do you want to stay and tell me the characteristic of myself that you don't like? Doesn't make sense. However, okay. So in this conversation with my niece, it was the same thing, where she is very intelligent and is a bright light and linguistically is chef's kiss. And there are kids that would say, why do you talk like that? And unfortunately, she does not have, or fortunately, the siblings that I had that made me strong like bull. So it did penetrate, and it does hurt. And what I shared was, number one, this is an experience that will teach you something about yourself. Because at 12 and 13 and 14, this is often when we learn how to find the tools to continue on when others are being hurtful. So 10 years, 5 years, 2 years ahead, you then have a resource to say, you know what, I'm not going to listen to this. Or that doesn't affect me. Or thank you, Vincent. I appreciate that. And how others see us can be several things. However, when we shine bright, when we allow our magic, our spirit, our soul, the things that we do well to be seen, that can cast a shadow on someone else. And I don't even believe it's a shadow that's being cast. I actually think it's a mirror or a reflection of what you could do too. But too often, when an individual shines and someone else hasn't found their gift, hasn't found their light that is able to shine, they turn that into a means of hurt for someone else. Because you're shining and I see it and I actually like it and I wish I had it, but I don't. I need you to dim that. I need you to put that light out. I don't want to actually feel uncomfortable because you're shining bright. I need to dim that light. And that comes out in many forms. That comes out in the form of teasing or hurting someone just so you can turn down their shine. When in reality, it's almost a twisted form of love. A twisted form of love in the sense that I like that light, but I haven't found mine, so I have to dim yours. I see your light, but I'm afraid to shine my light, so I need to dim yours. I see your skill. I see your beauty that other people recognize, and I'm not recognized for it. So I need you to turn it down. And sometimes that works. Sometimes it works for an extended amount of time. And sometimes it works for the rest of our lives. And what is most important for me is to ensure that this is a moment of learning. Because I refuse to see another light be dimmed at age 13 and never turned back up. Never turned back up. Because what is the other option? And this is in a school form, if you're 13 or 14. Someone sees something that you excel at, and they don't. So they tease you. But you want to be accepted. So you change yourself, and then you're accepted. But slowly inside you feel, this isn't me, but I'm accepted. This doesn't feel right, but I'm accepted. They like me, but I'm accepted. And that acceptance is empty. And that acceptance is empty because I had to change a part of myself to be accepted by you. So who I'm showing up as isn't fully myself. It's who you want to see. It's who you feel comfortable with. It's who you feel will not take away from your presence. And you'll feel that. So, what do we do in that time? Well, most of us have gone through that and we do dim our light. And then there comes a time where we say, you know what? Absolutely not. And we begin to shine bright again. But then it comes again in a different form. And then what do we do? Your light, your magic, your gifts, your talents, your abilities are there for you to shine. They're there for you to be seen. And so the moment you don't allow it to be seen is the moment that the other person is one, and your gift isn't available for the world. And I shared this with my niece because she is bright and she is eclectic and she is one of a kind. We're all one of a kind. But to stay one of a kind takes courage. To stay in the beautiful being of which that makes you you will take courage. It takes courage just to be you. It takes courage to show up and dress how you would like to dress. It takes courage for me to shave off all my hair. It takes courage for you to show your art or your gift. It takes courage. But to take that courage is the beauty of your life. To stand in a space of empowerment and fully embedded in your space of power and say, this is me, this is my gift, this is what I have to offer, and I will not change it. That is courage. That is courage. So let's take a step back. How do we get to that space of courage? I believe that courage just comes from listening. Listening to yourself. And what that means is going with what your first thought is. Not saying, you know what, let me ask them. Or are they okay with this? No, this is what I want. This is how I show up. This is how I speak. This is my art. This is my gift. This is my belief. And I feel it. And you will know, because once you start to dim it or change it for the comfort of others, you feel it. You feel something is off. And to identify that is courage. Even to identify something's off. Oh, I'm not acting in my fullest self. I'm not acting as the being that I was positioned to be. There's nothing wrong with me. It's just that I've changed how I show up. So the alarm is going off and it's saying, hey, this isn't you. Return back. And this happens constantly through life. This isn't just teenage years. This is an ongoing process. I find that this unique situation comes up throughout our lives. Oftentimes as a reminder of, hey, get back on track. Meaning, get back into your body. Get back into your original thought. Get back into what makes you you. Get back into what makes you happy. Get back into serving yourself. Get back into checking in with yourself instead of checking in with everyone else who's around. Because when we stop checking on ourselves, we start checking into everyone else. And we will feel that. It becomes heavy. There may become a time where you don't even recognize yourself. Because you've adjusted yourself so much for the comfort of others, or for the adoration of others, or for the space of others, that you forgot yourself. And that's important too. In fact, I think that's a beautiful moment when you can look and say, oh, wait a minute. I'm feeling like this because I'm not acting as myself. And I also shared this with my niece. Thank you, Bella. Thank you. Excellent to see and hear you. Thank you for the prayer hands and the hearts. And I made some delicious Mexican hot chocolate with this almond milk that I made. A friend of mine gave me a few of the circles of Mexican chocolate, and so this is my tasty treat. With a lot of cinnamon, of course, because why not? With this bully, yes, of course. With this bully or anyone who wants you to dim or change yourself, as I offered to my niece, sometimes you have to say a bad word. Sometimes you have to push back. And knowing when to push back. Because people often don't pick on someone that they know will fight back. Now, for myself, I never got in a physical altercation, especially in school, because my voice, my words were my tools to battle with. My words have always been my boxing gloves, and I've always been a wordsmith. So if you come at me, be ready. I may use words that are so big that you don't even understand that I've insulted you. However, to defend oneself is a part of self-love. To say, nah, I don't want to say anything and walk away, there will be a time where that will get to you. So you don't want to speak up because why? To stand up for oneself is to declare the awesomeness of what you are. To stand up and say, no, not today. You may have said this for the past months, but today, no. I refuse for you to ever speak to me like this. No. Sometimes you have to fight back. And who are you to tell me the lack of myself? I'm a great person. I will not allow you to tell me anything differently. And that also comes from a space of actually liking yourself. Because regardless of what people say, if you like you, it won't matter. As I shared with my niece, it didn't matter what they said because I liked me. It didn't matter that they teased me for how I spoke or how I arranged sentences, because I loved how I spoke and I loved my voice and I loved how I structured my manner of speaking. So if you don't like it, so what? Why do I value what you don't like in me more than how I value what I like in me? I refuse. So even starting from the point of liking yourself, I like me, so it doesn't matter what someone says about me. I love me, so it doesn't matter what someone says about me, because I like myself, I love myself, and I respect myself. But if you don't, those words may reign true. And as I said on my live last night, it always comes back to us. Whenever you hear me speak, it's never about anyone else. It's always about I. It all starts with us. It all starts with how we feel about ourselves. Exactly. I heard a saying that says, what you think of me is none of my spiritual business. To like yourself, to love yourself, to respect yourself, to trust yourself often stops others' thoughts of yourself to penetrate. But it does start with us. Yeah, what you think of me is none of my business. People all the time, I don't like that shirt. So, what? Okay, let me ask you this. How does that benefit you to tell me what you don't like about me? Furthermore, how does that benefit me for me to hear what you don't like about me? What is the benefit? Because I ask that with everything. What's the benefit of this? Whether that's a career obligation, whether that's anything in life. How does this benefit me? How does your thought of me benefit me? It doesn't. How does you telling me what you think of me benefit you? It doesn't. It doesn't. Sure. And if it hurts me, then that's malicious, which means it's not even coming from a place of love or kindness. So we can already stop that there. Furthermore, if you want to say something that is hurtful to me, it really just speaks of your discomfort of me and how you're trying to change something in me. And that's not beneficial. So I should change myself to create comfort for you? Absolutely not. And I challenge you to ask that. Oftentimes, if any individual says something that I don't quite understand or I actually know is coming from a malicious place, I will say, what's the intention of the statement that you just said? Ask them. Often people will change very quick. I don't like that shirt. Great. What's the intention of you telling me that? I don't know. Well, you said it. What's the intention? I just want you to know I don't like it. Okay, so the intention was to alert me of you not liking it. Okay. That often will prevent further comments of that nature. And yes, what someone else thinks of me, especially if I like me, that has nothing to do with me. That doesn't have a thing to do with me because I like me. And in fact, I'm only around people that like me and respect me and honor me as such. I had shared in my live last night, we often show up for others how we show up for ourselves. So if an individual is saying something that is hurtful or tearing you down, it may be likely that that's how they speak to themselves. On the contrary, if an individual is kind or knows how to structure words in a compassionate, helpful way, that's often how they speak to themselves. And this is why I say this all comes back to us. Once we do the work on us or just see, oh, that's there. That maybe I need to sit with, or that maybe needs to be healed, or this is asking for its attention within myself, we begin to show up differently. And that's pivotal because within that space, I can always give compassion because I see, oh, that's coming from a space of hurt. I don't take it any other way than that. That is just where you are in your journey. And I'll send loving, healing energy. And still, don't say that dumb stuff to me ever again. It's both for me. I can send the loving, healing energy, and don't ever say any dumb stuff like that to me again. It's both. I'm equipped with both. I use both, and I honor both. And all of these things came up as I was speaking with my niece and her time in school, being 13 years old, and how it still comes back to us as adults. We engage with these types of things in our workplace, within family relationships, within personal relationships, and it can all be utilized in the same way. First of all, is this beneficial to me? It's not. Okay, how can this be beneficial to me? Because I offered to her, some of these things can be used as a catalyst for something within you. Teasing can be used for a catalyst of, I'm just going to become the best at X, Y, and Z. Or I'm going to build up the strength and love myself enough to where whenever someone says something to me, it doesn't hurt me because I've learned to like myself. I've learned to love myself. I've learned to stand up for myself. And once you learn how to change these things to be beneficial towards you, life changes. Life changes. Within some female relationships where jealousy and envy comes, I believe that's a beautiful energy to push you towards something, because jealousy is just, wow, that's something that I want. Okay, let me use that discomfort to get that. Or let me use that discomfort as the energy to work out to have that body. Or let me use that discomfort to say, hey, why is that there? oh, that's because I have that skill and I'm afraid to show it. So let me show it. And I can use that as an example. That is the most progressive way to use that same emotion. And I find that that can be a powerful catalyst for some sort of change within our lives. Instead of saying, I'm jealous, so I'm going to be hurtful towards this person, or I will use words to be hurtful or tear down their character. Because that's going to come back to you regardless. And to identify that and say, you know what? I can use this to benefit me. And maybe this will grow our relationship because we both have this thing that's where that jealousy comes from. I want to do that thing and I know I can do that thing. So let me do that thing. And then maybe we can do it together. Imagine that. Anger is the same way. I had told my niece, as well as friends of mine, breakups for me are huge catalysts for change in a direction. I can transmute that or take whatever discomfort or sadness and use it to completely redirect that energy into something useful. All of this can be useful when you choose to make it. Because sitting in those emotions, that can be beneficial as well. I believe just to feel it. Thank you for the panda. To feel your emotions is a part of the healing process. Also, the moment you say, I don't want to feel this, you're not allowing the feeling to come. And the feeling is just there for a moment. You feel it, it tells you something, and it goes. So when that feeling comes, whoa, how can I use this? That's a way of transmuting that energy or that discomfort or that time into getting you to where you want to be. And I find that helpful. And I shared that with my niece because I understand I wasn't really teased. I've always had quite a powerful energy and powerful range of words that usually scared people away. And I've told her it's time to build that. Build your armor. Because just because you leave this school, exactly. And that's okay too. Being rejection, what do you feel you were rejected from? Did you need to be accepted for that? Or are you just feeling the hurt of not being a part of that circle? All of that, asking these questions. And build your artillery. Because she was saying, well, I'm changing schools. At every school, listen, just because you change the school doesn't mean that that won't exist in a different form. So build yourself because you are a bright, kind soul. And you still can be. However, you can build that thing within you that when you see it next time, you can identify it and you can have your own way of deflecting it. Or going head on and say, listen, I don't deal with that. Don't speak to me in that manner. Doesn't mean you have to go knock everyone out. You may, but we have to discern from time to time which category that we're going to put this in. Because this will always happen. If you want to fight a battle, there's always battles to fight. But how often do you want to be fighting? There becomes a time where you learn to just say, I can let this roll off. This, man, I dealt with you 2 grades ago. No. And you can just glide through. These people always want to poke and pinch you. Not today. No, I'm done with that. Not me. Go over there. Try someone else. Have a conversation with people. Let people know, listen, I'm not the one. I really like myself. And if you continue to speak to me in this way, this isn't going to look good for us. Exactly. You take you with you. You are always with you. And I know I'm a runner. And I've tried to run from things. And guess what? You can't run from yourself. And it always comes down to yourself. Once you like yourself, it doesn't matter what someone says. It may bring a sense of discomfort momentarily, but then you can move past it. I like myself. I respect myself. I've done a lot of great things in life. I'm not going to waste any energy on what you think about me. So please move to the right, because I have somewhere to be. And once you get into that form, you're indestructible. Completely. You cannot shock me. And that added into the fact that I was a flight attendant for 15 years. So nothing bothers me at all. That's just life. People screaming babies, canceled flights, people being upset. So what? Listen, so detach. My father would always say, once you have lost your temper, raise your voice, start cursing, you've lost the battle. That is the truth. It's not about you. And oftentimes as a flight attendant, when someone would come and say, I'll never fly this airline and you're horrible, it wasn't me. I was just the face of the airline. It was they got up late, or they missed their check-in, or they missed the flight, or they had a uncomfortable some discomfort through security. But I am the first person that they can actually vent to. Once I know that, I can detach. They're not speaking to Hope. They're referring to me as the airline, which I'm not. And I know this isn't about me. So I allow them to speak. It has nothing to do with me. It's not about my character. It's not about my spirit, my soul, nothing about me. We can move on, okay? I can allow you to speak without ingesting it and grasping onto it and believing this is about my character and believing because, you know, when I was 4, someone pushed me down the stairs and this is what... No, we're not doing all of that. It's never personal. With me, nothing is ever personal. Because that will cause stress. And then that could cause high blood pressure. And that will cause your skin to wrinkle. I'm not doing any of that. Okay? I'm over here drinking water, living a good life, speaking words of positivity. What you do has nothing to do with me. So you can go ahead and talk all of this that you want. But it's just going over my head. It doesn't actually affect me. I am really indestructible. Really. And I have lunatics in my family as well. So I've practiced this in real time. It doesn't affect me. It has nothing to do with me. Even if it did. Let's say it did. So what? So what? This little instance, I will not allow to derail my entire day. Because once I do, then the next instance is going to bring it up. And then it will just keep going. I can let it roll off. I can breathe and say, whew, that was weird. Okay. Well, let me go on with life. And that's an ongoing journey. And I told my niece, because she's 13, I said, this is the beginning. It does get easier. You learn how to choose how you engage with these interactions. And also, you're just learning about you. At 13, yes, this is very painful and uncomfortable. I understand. But in 2 years, it'll get easier. And in 2 years, it'll get easier. And in 2 years, it'll get easier. And in 2 years, it'll get... It's a constant. This is just the beginning. We learn now. And we will use these tools throughout our lives. However, to learn now and to identify with, number one, it's often the other person, and often a discomfort because of something they see within you. It actually doesn't have anything to do with you. It has everything to do with them. And maybe something they see within you that they want, or something they see within you that they don't feel comfortable with showing, something. And that's okay. You can stay in a space of compassion for that. I understand that. And that ain't got nothing to do with me. Then we would move on to the second part of actually liking and loving ourselves, to know regardless of what anyone says, whether it's disparaging or it's helpful, it can always stay neutral. Because I'm at a point, regardless if you say something that is helpful or hurtful, it's all neutral. It doesn't, they're equal. I know what I like about myself. And I know I like myself, and I know I love myself, and I respect myself, and I set boundaries, and I have great self-care techniques, and I have a family that loves me, and I have identified exactly what is helpful for me and what matters to me. Outside of that, that doesn't have anything to do with me. You telling me that you don't like that I eat black licorice because you don't like black licorice? Okay, great. Thank you for telling me something that I didn't ask for. However, okay. And you go on with life. And it does take work, but it starts with knowing it's not about us. Then going on to the second part of, yes, you got to do the work. Loving and liking yourself. And that's a constant, ever-present program. It's constant, and sometimes it shifts, and sometimes it's higher and lower. But when you're at your neutral, you're good. You learn new techniques that you can put into your personal artillery for life. However, when you stay neutral, you're good. Whether you say something helpful or hurtful, okay, so move. I gotta get to the store. And then third, it's not about you. Love and like yourself. And that starts however it starts. That's a personal journey. Yes, healthy boundaries. I love setting a boundary. I set boundaries consistently, even with ourselves. We have to set boundaries with ourselves. And know that boundaries, those lines are always shifting. Sometimes with friends, the boundary is further out, and then we see consistency, and then we can bring it in, and then you can change boundaries at any point. Everything in life, I say, is figure outable. How do I figure this out? How do I make this work for me? In this moment, how is this going to work for me? Everything is figure outable in your own way, with your own discretion, for what works for you. That's it. There is no set way. What works for Hope may not work for Maureen. What works for Maureen may not work for Bobby. So what? This is what works for me, and it keeps me feeling great and neutral. If you don't like that, well, then that says more about you, and maybe it's good that I set that boundary. So number one, it's not about us. Number two, loving and liking yourself is pivotal. And number three, also know when it is time to say, no, that's not going to work for me. Knowing when to stand up for yourself, when to bring out your tools, when to say, you know what, I may have to throw the right hook. Now, with discretion, because I'm a pacifist, I'm not for any physical altercation at all. In fact, I value the fact of, as a conscious adult, there's never anything that will allow me to physically assault someone, ever. Ever. If it's an extreme case where someone's coming at me with like a weapon, but outside of that, I can use my words. I can remove myself from the situation. There is nothing ever serious enough for me to physically assault someone, or for someone to physically assault me. Exactly. That's all right, Chrissy. They've been blocked. People, you see, none of that gets to me. I just shaved my hair before I came on. So as I offered this to my niece, especially with bullies or anything that we encounter in life of that such, remember these three things. Number one, it's never about you. We show up in others' perceptions of life. What got them to that moment? What they have endured, their guardians, their parents, their traumas, their outlook on life. And then we reflect something that comes up. It's not about us. Unless you just go up and slap someone. So I don't advise that. However, it's not you. And that can be a really freeing feeling to know this isn't about me. And then you can move on to the second. Why does this hurt me? Oh, because I identify with this. They called me stupid, and my teachers called me stupid, and then I told myself I was stupid, so I must be stupid. So what they're saying is true. I must be stupid. No. Thank you, Candy. Thank you. No. Loving and liking yourself and doing that own personal journey, your own personal work, and your own personal time. Because sometimes these things do come up. And sometimes we are identifying with these things that aren't us. And so if you're triggered, it's possibly because maybe something in you actually identifies with that. Great. Now that you're triggered, that trigger means listen to me. Listen, there's something in here that is trying to get your attention. Hey, hello. And that's that journey of the loving and liking yourself. Because once you start sifting through, you see, oh, it's not that they called me stupid. It's actually the root cause is when my mom, it goes very deep. It goes very deep, just so you know. All of this work, especially the personal work. Good morning. However, it's worthy of doing. Because you learn about yourself. And then you start understanding that's why I was responding to this in this way. That's why this would bring up this emotion in me. And you clear it out and you say, okay, I'm okay. I do like myself. I do love myself. And then you go to the third step, which is the times where you need to set a boundary, defend yourself, use certain tools. Knowing it's not you is the first part. The second part is loving and liking yourself and doing what you need to do to get to that point where you say, I like me. I love me. Because I like me and because I love me, what you say about me has nothing to do with me. So move. I'm trying to get the cereal. You're here at the grocery store saying, I don't like your shirt. I don't care. I don't know you. And it will be, or at this point I say, oh, thank you for that, and go on with my day. It doesn't affect me. Has nothing to do with me. And lastly, just identifying when those boundaries need to be set, when the tools need to come out. Because once you have all three of those, you can easily cycle those around and see like, oh, it's that easy. I've been blaming everyone else when in reality, it wasn't me. But I just didn't really like myself. Oh, okay, now it's so much easier. It becomes that simple. When we decide to identify and do the work and say, no, you aren't going to speak to me this way. And this is all inspired from just my niece telling me about being 13, which we all have been. And the same rules apply. The same rules apply. However, when we allow ourselves to say, I'm doing all right and I like me. Yeah, I like me. So what you say about me doesn't mean so. That's a beautiful space. Imagine just going through life not being affected by what people say, because guess what? They're going to say it. They're going to say it anyway. Those people were talking about you. So they didn't say it to me. Tell them to come say it to me. If they would like to say it to me, I'm still just going to say so and go on. This isn't about punching someone's lights out. That means you got to do that all the time. That's draining. And to fight all the time just to be yourself will deplete the beauty that is you. There's people that love you and care for you and respect you, that you don't have to fight for their love, for their attention, or tell them, don't talk to me that way. There are people that will get it, and they will support you and believe in you, and you can trust them, and they will be foundations for you to soar from. If they are not, then it's not for you. And this is why I shared with my niece. The ones that are for you, they come. There may not be many, but it doesn't matter how many they are. It's just to know that you attract them, and you'll know, and you'll feel safe, and you'll feel free, and you'll feel abundant, and you'll feel like yourself all the time, because they won't criticize you and they won't put you down. And in fact, they'll illuminate your light. You guys will all shine together. And that's the beauty. That's that unique beauty of when you decide to let your true magic, your true gift, your true spirit, your true talent, your true natural abilities to shine, you attract your tribe, as I say. You always attract your tribe. And that's the only tribe that matters. The ones that you have to fight for them, that's not your tribe. You'll know. You'll know. What's up? So, be the light that you are. Shine authentically. Show up authentically without the fear of, if I say this, I may offend someone. Listen, if you're showing up in a kind, compassionate way without the influx of any maliciousness or malicious intent, allow someone to say that they're offended rather than assuming that they will be offended, because you don't know. And sometimes you just don't know. You may say something that may offend someone, but you could easily say, oh, I didn't even know that would offend. Oh, okay, we can go on. But I am not going to immediately assume that my lack of knowledge of something will be offensive. Thank you. See, my hopefuls will let you know. That's the other thing. Once you attract your tribe, you don't need to do all of the work for defending yourself, because your others in your tribe that are authentic to you and that shine like you and love and respect and believe in you and trust you and bring you into your most fullest element will do some of that work for you. You won't always have to get your bow and arrow. They're always ready to go. And you'll know. It'll just feel right. It's not about you. Love and like you. Do whatever it takes to get to that space to love and like yourself. And then identify when you need to place boundaries or defend or do that extra step. But do each of those steps with discretion. Often after the first step of it's not about me, it doesn't even get to the step 2. Because with discretion, oh, this has nothing to do with me. All right. And then you move on. I don't even need to put any more energy into this. It becomes that simple. And people will see like I'm trying to suck energy out of her and she's not even the one. Let me find someone else who's more gullible. People will pick up on that too. People will pick up on that too. That is the message. And it always comes back to us. It always comes back to us. And you are worthy of doing the work. You're worthy to be here. As I say, we've all gotten to this moment, wherever you are in the world. For me, it's currently 8:34. So at 8:34 on this evening, I've gotten to this moment, no matter what trials, tribulations, traumas, tricks that I have encountered in life, I've made it here. I deserve to be here. I deserve to be loved, first with myself. I deserve to be liked, first with myself. And I deserve to be seen, first with myself. So be seen. Show your authentic self. Love yourself. And leave the rest. Because guess what? The rest is always there. But the most important thing is to be the most safest space within your body. Because you carry you throughout life. You are your best friend. You are your best friend. All the time. And you deserve it. And this is what I shared with my niece. So I seek that it's helpful in some way, even if we're not 13 any longer. And this is what I do, typically twice a day. I come on and deliver some uplifting message, some message of positivity or motivation or inspiration from what I've learned that may be helpful or beneficial in some way. And as I said, and thank you, Tona, redirected someone in the live to check it out. I was a flight attendant for 15 years prior to starting the profession of speaking. And this is my gift. So for me to show up and just give a word and hope that it benefits and creates a feeling in some way is my duty, I feel. And also, I am on here twice a day with a message, at least an hour. Sometimes it goes far over an hour. If you miss it, I upload all of my lives onto thank you, Maureen, all of my lives onto my YouTube channel, which is the same name, Hope is Speaking. And you can just go to TikTok Lives, daily TikTok Lives, if you like. And I upload those, and some of them are quite long, so maybe you can just have it in the background. My lives from yesterday were quite long, so they were like podcast length. One was 3 hours, one was 2.5 hours. And I have some speaking events around the nation and the world later this summer. However, I love to speak here on TikTok, and I love my hopefuls. Those are the people that say, yeah, this resonates with me. Hope, this is great. And I love the community on TikTok. Yeah, there may be a few people that come in and say whatever they say, so what? Everyone else is uplifting, and this is what this is about. It's a space of upliftment and positivity and humor and non-judgment and just connectivity, because that's what I believe we need. And I believe we don't always see each other as human beings. We see each other as labels that have been created. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you, Bella. And I like seeing myself as a human being. And I like hearing how it helps, because sometimes you just need to hear a word. Sometimes the whole day will change, or perspective will shift just through hearing something that is helpful. And as much as I'm saying it, I'm listening to it too. I have to hear it. We are all going through something. And I heard something that said, you're either going through something, just got out of something, or about to get into something. So why not have some reinforcement of some positivity, or just something that takes your mind off of what you were worried about? Because I believe that's the blessing. And I'm thankful for all the hopefuls that immediately, if someone comes in the live and says something that is not on our positivity vibe, that you say, wait, hold up. I love that. Thank you. It's a supportive feeling that I love. And my intention is always to be helpful and never met with any malicious intent ever. So in that regard, thank you. Again, this is Hope. Hope is speaking, and I always end with this. Be the reflection of love of which you are, because we all come from an infinite source of love. We all are infinite beings of love. Show up. Thank you, Maureen. Look at that, 22. Ooh, that's a special number for me. Thank you for my 22 roses and more. 24. I love that. Show up, because I'm showing up. I show up. I say I'm going to show up. I show up. And make it look good. When you show up, make it look good. If you're showing up, make it look good, okay? I'm going to show up looking good, so I'm requesting that you show up and you make it look good, because you deserve to be seen. There's something about us each that can be beneficial in that moment, and I mean that. And make yourself something nice to drink. As I said, I made some Mexican hot chocolate with a lot of cinnamon, with this almond milk that I had made earlier this week. So give yourself beautiful, delicious food. And just treat yourself like you're the most prized asset, because you are. I may come back on this evening. However, thank you. I'm grateful for you all. And continue to show up, because I will, okay? Ciao.